was always baseball and writing, and I'd say around high school ended, I started focusing on my writing, and I wanted to be a screenwriter. So like a lot of people, I went to Hollywood, I went to film school, and I won the top screenwriting award at Loyola Marymount 2 years in a row. And during that time, I was doing my internship with Ron Howard and Anson Williams, who were Richie and Potsy on Happy Days. And I was a story analyst. I sat in a room every day and I read scripts, which it's amazing in Hollywood, the influence that a 21-year-old intern has. They're always the first person to read a script before it goes to the big producer or director. So it was very interesting and a little bit of pressure, but it was a lot of fun. It was a great adventure. So I kind of interwove working for them for a few years with pursuing my screenwriting career. And around 30 years old, I hadn't gotten the big break I wanted, so I started reading my junk mail one day, and I thought, you know, they're paying people to write this stuff too. So that's kind of when I made the move into marketing communications. And first company that hired me was a healthcare company, so I started working for them. From there, it was a medical device company for 5 years, and then I started my own business. A key message copy platform is a central document where you develop your key messaging for a product or service. You want to house it all in one central document, and you really want to refine all your messaging. And from that, you use a completed key message copy platform as a springboard from which you then create your brochures, your direct mail, your website, and all your other collateral marketing copy. And the real benefit of a key message copy platform is it assures that throughout your marketing campaign, you're going to have very consistent messaging. Repetition builds reputation. So as you hit your customers with their number of touches, you always want your messaging to be very consistent. If you make up your marketing materials on a, let's make it up as we go basis, what you'll find at the end of the year when you spread your marketing materials across the table is that you're very inconsistent and the tone may not be the same. So a marketing platform is a great way to ensure that you have a very consistent messaging and a very consistent voice in your campaign. Ultimately, I want my clients to be as successful as they can be with their marketing campaign. I think developing a strong key message copy platform is the key to that success. It's the foundation of that success. Even though it's a document you create at the beginning of a campaign, what it does is it creates success at the end of the campaign. And that's the most important thing for me that I can provide my clients. There's writing to please your English teacher, and then there's writing to sell things. And they are two really completely different things. That's because a lot of marketing pros have very competent everyday writing skills. But what they don't know is kind of the persuasive techniques, copywriting techniques that get prospects and customers to reach for their wallet. There's some real fundamentals I could lead you through. Number one is you want to develop a nice conversational voice for your campaign. One mistake I see in a lot of marketing materials is the writing is either too stiff and formal or it's almost too casual. You want to find a nice selling voice for your product. In print, you typically want to go simple words, short sentences, so things are easy to digest by clients. You want to use a lot of white space in your copy, and you do that by using benefit-driven subheads. A descriptive paragraph should only be 2 or 3 lines. Then you want to have action-oriented bullet points. And then you can kind of go through what's called the motivating sequence, which is the first thing you want to do. Again, a big mistake a lot of companies make is they start talking about themselves right away. The first thing you want to talk about is your prospect, your customer. You want to talk about the challenges they face, the pain points that they have, the things that keep them up at night. And when you show that you have an understanding of their challenges, you now have a little credibility to start talking about yourself. So you talk about their pain points, the challenges they face, then you can quickly position your company as a solution to that challenge. Then you can get into the feature benefits of your product. And again, you do that with nice action-oriented bullet points. Have all your bullet points starting with a nice action word. Make them crisp and concise. Once you've kind of put up what your primary benefits are, you want to then have what I call belief builders to back up the claims that you make. Common belief builders are statistics, testimonials, case studies, things like that back up the marketing claims you want to make. Then you want to have a strong, compelling offer. And it's always great to go with a limited time offer so people act sooner rather than later. Sometimes having a strong offer with a limited time isn't good enough. So if you can throw in some bonus items, some free giveaways, that's always helpful. Another thing you want to have is a nice risk reversal. What a risk reversal is it could be simply, if you're not satisfied within 30 days, return the product, no questions asked. Another thing you can do is have what I call a value demonstration, where you kind of demonstrate how your product potentially pays for itself. You know, give you a quick example. Our CD on how to generate numerous, business-to-business leads costs $24.95. With the hundreds of tips we're providing, you're probably paying less than a dime for every tip that can help you generate new business over the course of the next number of years. So anytime you can kind of show how your product pays for itself, that's just another thing that might persuade the client or the prospect to buy your product. Don't be afraid to use the fear factor. And you can use the fear factor in a lot of very subtle ways. And all you're really doing is let a client know what they have to lose by not buying your product. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, there was an ad for a national tire company where there was a baby shower, and one of the women gave the mother-to-be a new set of tires as a gift. And everybody laughed. It was very lighthearted. But that was a definite use of the fear factor, because the message was, you're about to have a new baby, you want a new set of tires on your vehicle, because if you don't, you could have a car wreck, and in a car wreck, your baby could be injured or worse. If you could do one simple thing to immediately improve almost all of your marketing pieces, it would be to improve your headline. The goal of a headline is to engage a prospect and get them to dive down into the body copy. A lot of times what works are very simple headlines. Headlines like, how to generate twice as many leads in half the time. 3 simple steps you can take to accomplish whatever. How-to headlines, or 3 simple steps, or 3 secrets to. Those type of simple headlines, they're not sexy, they're not clever, they're not witty or zippy, but what they get the attention of your prospect, and it gets them to read the copy. For example, if you have 3 secrets to, it implies that those 3 secrets are going to be spelled out in the copy. So the person goes to the copy to find those 3 secrets. And that's the goal of a headline, is to get people to read the body copy. You can't lift stuff from print and put it in a script, because a script, people are speaking. So you have to your messaging has to be consistent, but you have to have the messaging stated in a different way. So now it's spoken. You have to speak in an even more conversational tone. Otherwise, it comes across as very stilted. Also, with video, where you have show, you don't need tell. So there may not be as much explaining, because you're showing things instead of just talking about them. Also, with a video script, you want to set up a story, and you want to structure your video script along the lines of you would a classic script. And that is to have a very strong beginning, a hook that grabs the audience and gets them engaged and gets them moving into the story. And you want to have a very good beginning, a very good, strong middle, and of course a very good close. The beginning, you can grab people with your unique selling proposition. Then you can start talking about the challenges they face, and then position your product as a solution. I think the middle would be where you start showing proof of why your product really works. And I would have in the middle your proof, your belief builders, and then if you can back up, your product claims with strong testimonials, statistics, visual graphs, case studies, that kind of thing. That's what I would see in the middle of a good script. You're ending, what you want to do is you want people to take the next step in the buying processes. So when you set up a script for a video, the one question you want to ask is, when people are done with this, watching this, what do we want them to do next? So you're ending, you have to have a strong call to action. You have to have, that's where you might have your special offer, your value demonstrations, your risk reversals, any free bonuses you want to throw in with that offer. You want to give people a strong reason to take the next step in the buying process. Video is a powerful medium, and people are drawn to it. They love watching and they love listening. And there is so much you can do with a great video in terms of utilizing high production values, a strong, compelling story with lots of good hooks to move people through the buying process and get them to take action. You can tap into people's emotions and you can move them and persuade them. And video is just a great tool for doing that and moving people along the buying process. All you have to do is think of the great films you've watched and the elements within a movie that get to your emotions. It could be the tone of the narrator's voice, the lighting, the music, the look in somebody's eye, their expression. There's so many things you can do to move people emotionally with film that you can do with a good corporate video as well. The power of video is seeing is believing. You can see things. So instead of with print is great. You can explain things and you can try to convince people with words, but video is so powerful in that you can convince them visually. And again, you can hit their emotional chord. You combine demonstrations of how a product works and what it can accomplish while also appealing to the emotional selling proposition of that product and hitting people on an emotional level. And I think the combination of those things makes video a very rich and powerful medium to work with. People go through a lot of expense and a lot of time to develop their brand and the look and feel and image of their brand. And on print, it could look great, but if you make a cheap video, you can kill the goodwill you've built up for your brand through print. And a lot of companies, what they'll do is they'll say, we want to save money on video. So they'll maybe an employee knows something about video, or they have a nephew or something, and they make a cheap video to save money. But they don't realize is that when you make homemade videos, homemade corporate videos, you don't write a compelling script. You have to have something like we've talked about that engages people at the beginning, a strong middle, and a strong end, and some hooks in between to keep people moving through the video. And what happens when you have an amateur write your script or create your script, you tend to have just kind of a very linear story that just kind of moves along. There's nothing too compelling about it. You combine that with low production values, something that looks cheap to supposedly save you money, and it can really bring down your brand image. And especially one of the biggest mistakes I see in cheap corporate videos is when you use employees as actors. That really kills it, because you have people, you know, from accounting or Jimmy from regulatory trying to be actors. You combine that with low production values, a linear script, but what it costs you in brand reputation is a lot more than what a high-end video production would cost you. When you invest in a good, high-quality video production, the return on investment has the potential to be so much greater for you.